The circular saw is a great tool, but if you don't have the proper jigs or blades, your results may be, what's the word, bad. We'll go through how to get the most of this tool and the key to turning your circular saw into a track saw. Now this first jig is going to basically turn your circular saw into a track saw without the gigantic, outrageous price point that sometimes the track saws can demand. And it's a very simple jig to make. But we're not gonna use a bunch of expensive tools to make it, basically just the circular saw and a drill. I almost made a big boo-boo here. Luckily I caught myself. Why did I stop the cut? Well, I was very close to cutting my table saw top in half. Not really, it wouldn't have cut all the way through, but I definitely would have cut into my table saw top, so I need to adjust the blade depth so it's just about a 1/4 inch deeper than my workpiece. I noticed that on some of these cuts I was getting burning, like my plywood was literally burning, so I'll show you in the future how I fixed that. As I started to make the cut, I was wondering why the circular saw was going so slow, and then I immediately realized that I was riding the base plate of the circular saw on the magnet side of my level. I should have been riding it along the other side, the smooth metal side. Kind of a bonehead mistake, but make sure to ride, if you're using a level, ride it on the smooth side, not the magnet side. Silly Thomas. If you're counting at home, that is 2 mistakes, and oh, we are not done. There are definitely more mistakes to come. Now, I do find it a little silly. I've seen some similar videos where a track like this, a longer track for the circular saw, is being made, and they'll use a table saw or some other tools to make it. And I made sure for this one, you only need a circular saw and a drill. I actually also use an impact driver, but you don't need an impact driver. I just find it easier to use an impact for driving in the screws. Now that the top piece is cut, I'm going to secure it to the base with just some wood glue and construction screws. Then we'll be making the most important cuts for this project that will then be basically turning your circular saw into a track saw. The circular saw was one of the first tools that I got, but I did not use it for a very long time, and I'll tell you exactly why I didn't use it a little later in this video so you can avoid that mistake. One possible reason I was getting some burning on my plywood with the circular saw is I was using a full sheet of 2 foot by 4 foot plywood underneath my workpiece, and I just think it was bogging down my blade and my tool a little too much. So I decided to cut some thinner prop blocks to use underneath my workpiece instead. Yes, I realize it is a little wild that I'm using walnut plywood for these sacrificial pieces, but I had this smaller piece of walnut ply in my shop for years, and I couldn't find anything to use it for, so I'm using it here. But I want you to know that I know, yes, it's crazy. Back to the burning, this helped a little bit, but there are some bigger reasons why I think I was getting burning, which I'll go over in a little bit. All right, let's make these really important cuts to make this jig zero clearance, and then I'm gonna add something to the underside of this jig, which is gonna be pretty dang cool, excuse my language. Now, I pretty much always like to motion my cuts with the saw off first before I cut my piece with whatever tool I'm using if there's a really fast spinning blade, and you'll see why in just a second. The clamps were in the way. What's the deal with clamps? If I wouldn't have motioned my cut first, I may have started the cut, the most important cut of this project, and it would have messed it up because the saw would have hit the clamp, and it could have caused some kickback, which would have been very dangerous. Even though danger is my middle name, I like to avoid it when I can. If you were a kid in the 90s or 2000s, how awesome was this design? And how many times did you write it in your notebook in class? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, I'm gonna level with you. We need to upgrade your wardrobe. You don't look bad, but we can make some improvements. That's where Poncho comes in. I love their flannels. I'm wearing one right now, but I love wearing them in the wood shop when I'm doing some woodworking because they're really good durable material. They have zippers in cool places, and they keep me nice and toasty warm. A lot of their shirts come in regular, tall, and slim fits, which is really nice. I also really like their ultralight line. I have the short sleeve, and it's really lightweight. I wear it a lot when I'm doing yard work or anything outside, and it doesn't look too shabby either. I do have other shirts, but with Poncho, you really notice the high quality of the material. Another thing, they don't just have blue or gray, they have so many different colors. I'm not a big color guy, but I've gotten a few, and if you need a pop of color or you want some different designs, they have a lot of options. I'll put a link in the description below of where you can get their outdoor attire, and you can just go to ponchooutdoors.com. Oh, this is some good stuff. This is some grip tape. It's actually called a silicone pad, and I'm gonna put it on the bottom of this jig, and just like a track saw track, it's gonna keep this jig nice and secure on your workpiece. It comes in a pretty wide piece, so I'm cutting it in half and then putting each half on the underside of this jig. I'll show you in a little bit, but it's pretty impressive, spoiler alert, how sticky this is. It will get dusty, so you'll have to wipe it down from time to time, but it works pretty well. It works so well, I'm gonna put it on my fancy upper middle class walnut prop blocks. Although this jig was pretty simple to make, the next circular saw jig, circular saw is a little tough for me to say apparently, which will be more for cross-cutting lumber, is a little more complex to make. Not too complex, but there's a few more steps, and we gotta get the measurements just right. If you're a little tired of using a speed square with your circular saw and feel it's not as safe as you would like it to be, like I feel, you're gonna really like the next jig. Now, the best part about this is, even though I will still clamp down my workpiece when I'm using this long track, I don't need to clamp down the track like I did with my level earlier in this video, because the sticky stuff on the bottom of the track works so well. So that's just one step which is gonna make using the circular saw a lot easier. All right, the moment of truth. Let's see how this track works in action. Success! I mean, I totally knew it would work the whole time. I wasn't sick with anticipation and super sweaty. Let's move on to the crosscut jig I know you're really gonna like. I mean, I guess I don't know 100%, but I think I know you a little bit, and I do think you'll like it. Again, we're not using a table saw to make this jig, just in case you don't have one. We could get perfectly straight cuts with a straight edge and the circular saw. We don't need a table saw. Would the table saw make some of these cuts easier? Yes, it would, but we can get the job done with this saw. Although the longer track we just made was pretty simple, there are some key measurements, and on this jig there are some very key measurements to make this jig work correctly. So I've made really detailed plans for both of these jigs, and right now both plans are the price of one plan. I really do believe my plans are the most detailed plans on the internet. So I'll put a link to these plans in the description below, and you can find all my workshop furniture and workshop jig plans on my website, thomascustomwoodworks.com. This piece is pretty important because your circular saw is going to be riding on this piece when you use the jig, but it's not nearly as important as the next piece we're putting on this, which is going to go on the underside of the jig. If that piece is out of alignment, this whole jig is basically worthless. Now raise your hand if you like to get poked. It's the freaking worst, right? There I go with the potty mouth again. I also do not like to get poked. So that is why I'm rounding the corner on this jig with a jigsaw, because I feel like if I don't, when I use this jig, knowing myself, I'm gonna get poked in the side and it's gonna feel bad. And I don't like to feel bad. This just came to mind randomly for no reason at all. Make sure your workbench casters are locked before you make a cut like this. I told you, I tried to warn you, we're making mistakes here, but I'm showing my mistakes because I want to learn from them. And I think that was a pretty good save if I do say so myself. I really do need a pre-cut checklist. I've been thinking about this for literally months. And it would say something like, make sure blade depth is set correctly, lock casters, breathing, eye, and hearing protection on, don't be a dum-dum, things like that. This is handle number 2, and this is important. We'll come back to this in a little bit. But the most important part of this jig is what I'm calling the bottom stopper. And I'm gonna put that on the underside right now, or at least I'm thinking I will, except for one little hiccup. Yeah, it's a little too long because of a miscalculation. And I know you're probably thinking I'm making these mistakes on purpose, but I assure you I am not. I wish every project would go really smoothly. And I know this is not a huge mistake, but I just don't want this piece to overhang the side of the jig. So I cut it down off camera, and now I'm securing it with some glue and screws. But I'm not driving in the screws right away. Because I need this piece to be perfectly 90 degrees to the side, I'm clamping it and leaving it for about 2 hours so the glue can set, and then driving in the screws. I really didn't want to risk driving in the screws and then this piece going out of alignment. I briefly mentioned handle number 2, and that is because this is handle number 1. We'll get to the second handle in a little bit, that'll be important. But this one is gonna be really good and useful for shorter crosscuts. You have a board that's 4, 5, 6, 7 inches. This handle is gonna be really nice. I put a piece of plywood underneath this jig so there would be no tear out when I drilled the holes. And now I'm gonna connect those holes with the jigsaw. For wider boards, even up to like 14 inches, this handle is going to be key in keeping this jig nice and secure on your workpiece. There's really no lumber, or at least I don't use lumber. I guess you could use slabs that are 14 inches or wider, but my dimensional lumber doesn't go up that high. This will be more for plywood. You guessed it, we're putting the grip tape on this one as well. Not quite as important as the last track we made, but still better safe than sorry. That's a phrase that I just came up with right now, and you're welcome to use it, better safe than sorry. I wanted this to be nice and grippy, so this will not move at all when you're using it to cut your wood. And do not worry, you're stressed, don't be stressed. There's still one more mistake that I'm gonna get to right now. It was a little too thick, just like me after the holidays. The board was about 1.5 inches thick, and this jig can handle almost 1.25 inches thick lumber maximum. Now let's talk about exactly which blade you should use with the circular saw. Now those two jigs do a really great job of using the circular saw accurately, but a big way to get the most out of this saw is making sure you're using the right blade. Now, you may have noticed, if not, I'll show you here, but I got some burning when using this saw with my 60-tooth blade. I really think it's because on some of those longer cuts, it's just too many teeth, which can cause some burning. It leaves a really nice finish on shorter cuts, but I think I need a 40-tooth or a 24-tooth blade on some of those longer cuts. So I got a 40-tooth blade and a 24-tooth blade that I'm going to test now. And that turned out really nicely. We have no burning. This is our workpiece here. This is the jig. It's moved a little bit since I finished the cut. That's why it's not perfectly lined up, but really nice. That was the 40 tooth blade. And as you can see, there was no burning. And it's gonna be a nice cut anyways, because 40 tooth is a good amount of teeth for a nice clean cut. But especially with this jig on top, there's really gonna be no tear out. Now let's try this 24 tooth blade with no jig. I wanna see how much tear out there is on plywood. If you really like this whole woodworking thing and you wanna get dialed in with woodworking power tools, I have created a training to teach you exactly how to use power tools safely and confidently for whatever you wanna make out of wood. I'll put a link to that training in the description below. All right, the tear out really isn't bad. Here's one half or one part of the cut, one side of the cut. It's really not bad. It's worse on this other piece, but it looks worse. That looks pretty bad, but this is not bad at all. It looks worse on camera than it actually does in real life. Doing a little bit of sanding is gonna get rid of most of this tear out. This is really not too bad. Just a quick couple swipes with the sandpaper 320 grit, and the edge is nice. So anyways, 24 tooth blade actually did a fairly nice job. The reality of it is, usually when you're using the circular saw, it's not fine furniture, so the blade doesn't matter that much. But if you're doing a cross cut, if you're cross cutting some lumber and you want it to be a really nice cut, use the 60 tooth blade, which is right here. If you're just doing rough cuts with the circular saw, the 24 tooth blade is gonna be just fine. There's gonna be a little more tear out than the 40 or 60 tooth, but it's gonna work. If you do a little bit of plywood, you make some nicer stuff, you don't want there to be too much tear out or too much burning, I'm thinking the 40 tooth blade is gonna be what you're gonna wanna use. The 60 tooth does a really nice job and it's such a clean cut, but again, on some of those longer cuts, I was getting some burning. But none of this matters if the circular saw you have does not work well and you don't feel safe using it. When I started woodworking, I was told you gotta get a circular saw, so I got one. It was this Ryobi and it was not very good. Not because it's Ryobi, but because I got about the cheapest, I think it was the cheapest Ryobi circular saw that they offer. The issue was it vibrated a lot, and so when I would use it against a straight edge, it would knock that straight edge, even though I had it clamped, out of alignment, so I never got really straight cuts. And the shaking made me feel not very safe when using it. So I actually thought, maybe that's just how circular saws are, and maybe they're just not for me. Then a little while ago, I started using this DeWalt, and by no means is this a fine furniture tool. It's a DeWalt circular saw meant for the job site, but it was so much better. It didn't seem as loud. I don't know if it may have been just as loud, but it didn't feel as loud. And it definitely didn't vibrate as much as the Ryobi, and so I was able to make perfectly straight cuts. And I feel really good about this one. It's definitely more expensive than the Ryobi, but it's not gonna break the bank. Even just the pieces on the saws are different, and you can tell that the Ryobi is just not quite as nice, and hence the lower price point, but it's got plastic pieces where the DeWalt has some metal pieces. And this red part was actually from I think it was from the Diablo blade, or it was from another blade that was on here that had some red on it. But the blade was hitting this guard on the Ryobi, where the DeWalt, I've never had that issue. I don't have extensive knowledge of all the circular saws, but this DeWalt one has been really good, and I'll put a link to this saw in the description below. And let me know in the comments if you bought a more expensive Ryobi circular saw, because I'm guessing those are much better than this one. I do think the circular saw is a great tool to get starting out. It's much cheaper than a track saw and definitely cheaper than a table saw if you don't have the funds or space for a table saw yet. Believe it or not, the circular saw was not my first tool. I believe my first tool was the miter saw. So check out this video right here on how to get the most out of your miter saw.